Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. I'm here with my co-host, Brent Sopel. How are you?
Am I allowed to talk now?
You are.
Are we on Dyslexia Awareness Month?
We are on. I know. I messed that up. This is dyslexia. We're on. We're off. We're in. Let's not go down that. This is
It's
Dyslexic
October
Awareness.
1st. We're taping the intro on October 1st.
We are.
Some whack job said October should be Dyslexia Awareness Month.
Right. And in the episodes that you are going to listen for this month, we talk about that often and what our feelings are about it. So we're going to set you up for what each episode this month is going to be. Last year, we talked about with a bunch of different guests. We had 4 guests. You're going to hear all about that, so I'm not going to go into that here. But what we wanted to kind of set you guys up with is 2 really great episodes talking about some of the events that we had, some of the events that we're having, some of our feelings of the 5 Ds. We really, get into a little bit more, but then in November, we're going to really break those 5 Ds down. But here we kind of set it up for, and then we're going to have 2 interviews from last year just to kind of end the month because they were one of our favorite interviews. Right?
Absolutely. Both are great interviews. Stephen Key is a pretty spectacular interview for a whole source of reasons, obviously his age, but just being one of the first times he's ever talked publicly about being dyslexia. And, he's older than us. I think he's, mid-60s. So it's pretty spectacular just to think about it, to think back about it, being him diagnosed so late in life, so successful, but so much trauma, and just kind of watching him speak through it was, it was pretty amazing. So to be able to replay that one, and obviously, Bridget Bryan,
Bridget Brown, with Beyond Beauty Project, right?
Yeah, seriously, let's put another B in there. And
that will end the month. And it's good. And we wanted to kind of highlight those at the end of the month because they were so profound when we had our year. I mean, that was our first year, and that's what we did for Dyslexic Awareness Month that year. So that is what you guys can expect this month. And the 5 Ds, I just want you to think when you're listening to these episodes, it is not neurodiversity in our world. It is the 5 Ds: dyslexic, dysgraphic, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, and ADHD. Yep.
Well done.
Thank you. So you guys enjoy this October Dyslexic Awareness Month. Go to thesopelfoundation.org to support us. That is how everything runs. We need funds. Doesn't matter if it's $1, $5, whatever you can. Go and do that after you listen to this episode of Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. Thanks, Brent.
No, thank you.
Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. This is Juliette Hahn here with my co-host Brent Sopel. How are you?
Do you remember the thing, Whisper 3000? Is that what you have in your ears?
So we started recording for 4 minutes and I was like, wait a second, something is off. And it was, his microphone wasn't on, but I'm annoyed that I didn't catch it in the beginning.
You're definitely the sound police.
I am. That's part of my ADD dyslexia. It's actually sometimes kind of annoying because I can hear everything. I can hear tones, but it serves me well. And when actually it goes away when I get older, oh my God.
Like the old somebody chomping the chips, or Elizabeth does that. I'm like,
oh, that's why in movies, I actually don't love to be in a live movie. Don't tell Dan because I know that's part of his business. But I can hear people opening their package and chewing on and then I have to work really hard to not focus on all the annoying things people do.
I used to take the girls, the kids to movies, popcorn. I'd put a hand on each lap and cold. It was a 2-hour nap for sure. Every single time. Done.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Every time. It was amazing.
I love that. Okay, so this is going to go out at the beginning of October. As we just said, we looked at our calendars. This is we're recording the last week of September, and that kind of freaked us both out. I got like a little like, it's crazy.
Isn't it today fall? Did I see it somewhere? First day of fall or something?
I think that's my anniversary. I think it's the 21st, or maybe it's the 23rd. I shouldn't say anything because I actually don't know that. It is right around it, and maybe today is the first day of fall. But what we were talking about is October being dyslexic awareness month, and then we were going back what we did last year, and it was like.
But who made Dyslexia Awareness Month this month?
Right. We would like anyone out there that's listening, if you were the one that made Dyslexia Awareness Month, please.
October is bullshit. You want to fight breast cancer? Wrong month.
Well, it's everything. It's October. I feel like, I don't know who all of a sudden decided that it's the month that that everything is brought to awareness or whatever, because
and I think there's no other month that has the impact that breast cancer does. I think it was a baseball. They wear pink. Every sport's got pink. So I think you could pick the other 11 months, and we would have been a hell of a lot better than this one.
I know, totally. Right.
And I hate Halloween anyway, so I don't like October.
Well, we're going to work on something for Dyslexia Awareness Month. Picking our own stuff, since we decided neurodiversity we don't love. So we're going to kind of take you through a little bit of the journey of where we were last year. What we did is we interviewed 4 people. And so we had interviews because we wanted to share other people's stories, their experiences, what their dyslexia meant to them. So we had a number of different, we had Stephen Key.
Yeah.
Which that was like his first interview.
That was really good.
That was really good, talking about his dyslexia. I mean, I just remember how uncomfortable he was. I just wanted to go across and hug him and be like, "You're okay." Yeah. And we're still connected to Stephen. We love Stephen.
I emailed him this weekend.
Yeah, right. He's awesome. And he thanks us all the time for putting a space for making people comfortable. That his story is very, very impactful and very cool.
Cool, man. Things he's done. Teddy Ruxpin, Michael Jordan backboard. So,
he's an inventor.
Amazing story.
He's awesome. So we had him on. We had Ashley Henderson, who runs the dyslexic program at Newberry, which again, that was really, really cool because I connected with her because of Montgomery going on college tours. Because again, I like to tumbleweed people.
Did we have the crazy lady?
Oh no, we never. That never went out.
That one, okay. I don't know where you picked her up. Jeepers.
I interviewed her on a different podcast. I know I said to you though, that might not be good, but we might save that for a different time. Because that was a different insight as well, but that didn't make it to the 4. It was Stephen, it was Ashley, it was Danielle. And that's what we were like, holy crap. That was when Danielle Fetty came on, and she was still in which we all do. We all like parts of our dyslexia in this, but she was really in where she hadn't dove into, because Paige was at a school and she's like, everything's great. Everything's great.
When you get sober, you call it the pink cloud. Danny was riding the pink cloud.
Right. And then 2 months later or 3 months later, her world blew up and she was like, oh my God. And Paige had to switch schools, and she saw some things that we had been talking about that she really didn't relate to. So that was one of the things that we found really interesting. And we've had a number of people kind of reach out and be like, I've heard you guys talking about it, but it never happened to me. And then all of a sudden it happened.
It's, that's the crazy part with a lot of things that, we do and we talk about is we've been through it. We see it coming. And we're all kind of on the same path, but get there differently.
Mm-hmm. But not only have we seen it and we've been through it, but we also have been evolving. I mean, how many times on the podcast have there been either of us been like, oh my God, you just said something that made me think and connect our own dots, which has been really, really.
Never for me.
Yeah. I'm going to pick clips and send those to you. Yeah. I mean, same, right? But it's like one of those things that's really been cool. So that was interesting. Then we had Ryan Hill, fellow Canadian. I love that.
We just had Ryan just recently.
Oh, was he not on the?
No, not wrong year. Sunday Night Sex Show was just a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh my God. Wait. So that's right. Okay. So see, that's why we had to record because I was also incorrect. So we had, Bridget. We had Bridget,
yeah.
right? We had Bridget Burke Brown of Beyond Beauty Project, and then we had her brother later on. But Bridget's journey also really cool.
Yeah.
Going through it with her daughter, having a twin brother that has dyslexia as well, and she and I had very similar experiences where we were social, so we kind of went under the radar because we would get like in trouble for like talking to our neighbor, and it was like
pretty girls just use the pretty girls. Yeah.
Okay. When I was in elementary school, I don't know that I would have been considered a pretty girl. Let's just put it that way. I was very tomboy. That's whatever.
Why are you blushing? Why?
Just be quiet.
You know it.
So that was really cool. That's what we did last October. This October, we're gonna do something different, and we're not going to share it. You guys just have to see, because this is going to go out the first week of October. You're going to have to see what happens next week. Keep you on your suspense.
And you're obviously coming on the heels of a couple events too, the cup dinner and the golf outing. So the planning wasn't very good by you. So
well, let's just reflect and think about this for a second. Okay. So thinking about, both of us were like, I can't believe that was a year ago. That's insane. I know when you get older, people say it goes faster, but like that is...
It seems like it's 4th of July was yesterday.
Yeah. That's really insane. And then thinking of where we just had the golf outing. Yes. We're going to have the Stanley Cup dinner on the 18th. Let's think about all of the things that have happened in this past year and the fire hose. And I remember there was one question, and I know we've talked about this a couple times, but I like to sometimes bring things back up and have different angles because that's what I like to do. I asked you a question when we first started interviewing, and I want to see, actually, let's play a little guessing game.
Wow. When you were stalking me?
No, this is after.
Okay.
This is when you accepted.
I clarify time frames.
Yeah. This is when you accepted. You said, fine.
Either it's that or the cops are getting called, so one or the other.
Exactly. So I asked you a question. If you have ever in your time of your life been in what am I going to say?
Flow.
Yeah. See? Mm-hmm. Yes. And you said no. And I remember being like, what do you mean? And just like that, I think I said, what do you mean? Oh, let me clarify for you. Because maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. And I clarified what flow was. I said, sometimes when you have all these really good things happening at once, and yes, sometimes you'll have some negative things happening in there, but for the most part,
I clarified too. No.
You did. And you said no afterwards. And I was like, well, wait a second. And then as I got to know you, I was like, oh no, he's not bullshit. He really has had shitstorms after shitstorms after shitstorms. However, there's been, as you said, there's been less, well, I shouldn't say less shitstorms because there's still shitstorms, but you have had some flow where it's been like a couple days that like positive and like good momentum is happening. And I think that a lot of people, when their lives go so fast and so many things are happening, good and bad, they don't stop to reflect on either side. And that's when you can't get ahead of it, or you can't like appreciate where you are. And I want to ask, because I can see your face. You have
it's you said a couple things. Time goes by fast, and I think that's one of the hardest things ever, to live in the moment. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we got a couple hockey players, Gaudreau's, the two brothers who got killed, right? One's 28, one's 31. Mm-hmm. Their wives are pregnant, right? Gone at her sister's wedding. So life is precious. You never know when it is. So trying to plan what's going to happen in 2 weeks, and it's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to do that. And I always say most sober people are the best people, is because we have to self-reflect every day to stay sober. A lot of people don't want to go there and, feel that, but that's the only way you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easy? Fuck no. But
No.
nothing's easy. It's unfortunately, if it is easy, it's probably not right for you.
Mm-hmm. And what you said there is the self-reflection. It's interesting because nothing is easy, and you could either be in it and think about it, feel what kind of lesson is in there or what you learned or what is happening, or you numb. There's right? There's two ways. So, okay, I don't feel like thinking about it. I'm going to drink or do drugs or whatever.
So good.
And so, so nothing is ever easy, as you said.
No.
But the more that you can stop and be in that moment, the more you can stop and reflect, the more you're going to grow as a person. And I really believe the more we grow as individuals, the more people we can help outside of our circles.
100%. What's that on the airplane? Put that oxygen mask on you first.
Mm-hmm.
That's key. If you're not in a good place, and that's just a defense mechanism. When you're not in a good place, you want to help other people so you don't focus on yourself. And, so it's funny how, it snowballs, but you got to take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, and I always say, if you can fall in love with yourself, your life's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. And then, as we were saying in the beginning of the episode that we are not putting out because Brent's microphone and I took me 4 minutes to realize that you don't sound the same, is there's people that come in and go in your lives. And we both truly believe it. And I think if someone can reflect, I think people, if they're like, no, that's not true, if they actually think about it, it could be like, okay. I think one of my favorite things in life is sometimes to think about certain encounters I've had and go back and think, okay, what did I learn? What didn't I learn? What was there? What was the reason? And not like dive in like, need to like kind of figure it out. But when you do that, sometimes it's really freaking cool when you see, oh, that's the reason why I was connected to that person.
A lot of people, talk about friends and I have best friends. I put it two ways: friends and acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had a lot of friends, but I realized I had a lot of acquaintances, and you usually find out if they're friends or acquaintances when shit's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If that's 5 years, 10 years, 30, 40 years, I had somebody just were best friend in 25 years. They're not talking, right? So they were just an acquaintance. So it's trying to find out what those are and what that means, because what that means at 16 is different than at 18 and different at 22 and different at our age. So and that's that growing portion.
Mm-hmm. It really is. So Dyslexic Awareness Month, we talk about the word neurodiversity, which we don't love because it encompasses everything.
Hate.
And when people say it, I twitch a little.
Yeah.
It's usually like an eye twitch. Because sometimes I want to tell them why I hate it. And then other times I'm like, they're not worth it. Or I'm going to, it's, and not that they're not worth it, but it's sometimes not worth.
They won't have the full understanding to understand what you are saying.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where 5Ds came up. That was a kind of a fun journey of coming up with our own saying and going back and forth, right? Like, does this make sense? Does this encompass it? And for a little while, we stuck on the 4Ds, which felt good, but then we forgot about dyspraxia. And then we were like, okay, wait, we need to do that. And one of the things that is so crazy and so interesting is the human brain and how 5Ds, 4Ds, whatever, how many Ds you have.
You want to spell, not spell me, you want to say those 5Ds?
Yeah. So dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and as Brent says, dyscalculia.
Oh, I thought that was the right term. Dyscalculia. I think it is. I hate saying it that way.
I know. I know either. I can't dyscalculia. Yeah. It makes more sense to me, but
I agree.
Whatever. ADHD, and then dyspraxia. So dyslexia is the language, right? Dysgraphia is the handwritten portion. Dyscalculia is the math portion. And ADHD is ADHD. That's the, if you don't know what that is, you've been living under a rock. And dyspraxia is the actual language. And one of the, as I said, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We will get into more descriptive, like we've done with dyslexia, how we've talked about all the different dyslexias, the double Ds, that, all these different things. That is in this kind of year. Some of those we're going to break down, some of those other ones, because we've had a lot of people ask, oh, I've never heard of that. Or wait, what is that? And we have our own understanding of it's very interesting as I'm learning more about dyscalculia. I think I'm probably way more dyscalculia. I think my dyscalculia is super, super, super severe, where my dyslexia is in the middle, I would say. And I'm just saying this in layman's terms, but my dyscalculia is, I'm like severely dyscalculia.
And people are like, what is which one? Okay. Dyscalculia, calculus, numbers, graph, writing,
the visual. Yep.
That's dysgraphia. Right. So I was laying that out for, somebody the other day. Obviously everybody's got their own dyslexia, their own dysgraphia. There's different severities. What do you have? This percentage or that percentage? But you said something you were talking about. Along the same terms as we're not doing anything big for October for dyslexia awareness. There isn't enough education out there for it to be awareness. And you're saying sometimes you don't talk about neurodiverse to people, because there's 722 different things under that umbrella.
Yes.
And I don't like being under umbrellas.
No.
I don't mind being a pumpkin. Or, I actually kind of prefer it rather than being grouped in with everybody else where I don't belong.
Exactly. And one of the things that is really important is, and you said something in it, like, I think it's really prevalent, is talking to people and explaining the different parts of each kind of thing, the severities of it, the visual parts where, like, you have 4 Ds, I have 3 of the Ds. And the way that the brain works is so interesting. And this is what I got into a really awesome conversation with someone this week, is they were saying, well, but there is so much happening. Like, there's so much education. It is different than it was when I was this age. And I said to them, okay, right. In academia and in the science world, yes, there's a lot. I said, but it is getting worse and worse for the kids on the ground. For the kids on the ground and the teachers, it has never been worse. And it basically is, and I kind of, I gave this kind of thought of where the rich and the poor, right? It keeps getting broad, like it keeps getting more separated and more separated with what is happening in the world of the scientists. And they think they're doing all of this stuff because they're looking how the brain works. They have more understanding how, when someone has language, when they're a certain age and all of that. And you know what? Great. But it is not trickling down to the people on the streets, to the kids on the street. There's not enough action happening in the classroom. The teachers do not have enough education, and they do not have enough tools to be able to help. And this is where you come in, and the foundation comes in, and everything that we're doing as a group.
I love that. And a little feistiness here. I like that.
Yeah, I got pissed. I got pissed.
The scientists, they care about themselves. Or some most selfish people, because they either write their articles. They don't care about bringing it to the people. They care about writing their articles and making sure they get their pocket protector and they get their white coat all shined up. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the kids struggling. They don't. So that's, as you mentioned, it's getting worse. It's never been worse. And I had somebody, was it yesterday? We were talking about their nephew got diagnosed, and he's got a lot of anger, and he doesn't have it. And he was like, well, he's just, behavior. I said, I threw a desk at grade 3 at a kid. I said, that anger is absolutely 100% a part of it. I was talking about Elizabeth. I said, we are probably one of the biggest mental health, I don't know which way to put it, is we start all mental health. The anger, right? Why I'm throwing a desk at a kid at grade 3, so this kid just screams and yells, gets mad because he's frustrated.
No one's understanding him or listening to him.
Nobody. And he's like, I don't have enough understanding to comment on that. I'm like, I know you don't, but fucking listen. Because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And it is. Just picture you as an adult, but you as a kid, when you have that kid that's frustrated, right? When a kid has a temper tantrum before they're in school, and what it is, it's because they can't communicate what they want, their wants and needs. And when you're in school and people are just constantly overlooking you, constantly telling you, focus, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. You're creating that for that kid. You're creating that kid. Purpose or not, most teachers are not doing it on purpose. Most teachers, and we've said this a million times, no kid wakes up and is like, hey, I'm going to be a dick today. Yeah. I love when I say that makes me laugh because I think that's been recorded. No one does that. And early years, maybe when people get older, yeah, they have chips on their shoulders, whatever. Yeah, they're like, I'm going to be a dick today. There's nice people, there's not nice people.
They're smiling, happy, running around, right? That's them.
Yeah. So that is something that I want everyone really that's listening to this to really think about is, yes, there's things being done because we've had people reach out and be like, I know you guys keep saying that there's not this, there's not that. It is not happening in the school districts, the majority of the school districts. It is not happening. I mean, kids are having to go to special schools that are 50 to 60,000. So the kids that can't afford that, it's getting worse and worse for them. Teachers are getting less and less. People are not going into education because they can't make a difference that they want. So that population of actual people going into teaching is declined.
And people think numbers are going up, like, there's 75% of education dyslexia, or 80% of people understand. I'd still say it's less than 20% understand. So yeah, we maybe went from 15 to 16%. It's not like we went from 15 to 85%.
Right.
So you can, whoever that, they can say, there's 100% there's more today than there was when you and I were, in school. But we're still in single digits.
In how many years? Word blindness. Right. Word blindness. It was 1900s. Right. There's been knowledge about dyslexia since the 1900s. There's, I would say that some of the other Ds maybe have a little bit more understanding. Not really. I mean, because if you think about dysgraphia, like, what do they do? Oh, you go to OT. Okay, thanks.
You can't go, that's your brain's wired. It doesn't go, that doesn't fix it. I had somebody say to me, so what pharmaceutical company do you guys use the most? And it was referring, like, what pills do you guys take? What shots do you take?
Huh? Right. Yeah. There's maybe the words getting said more out in the world. Maybe dyslexia is getting said more, but there is not the education of on the streets. It's the front line, the people that need to be able to help those kids in the desks are not. States, you can't say it in IEPs. I mean, we go back and forth with this all the time. And higher education, heads of the education department at top universities don't realize that certain states can't say it. I mean, the list goes on and on, which is what is wrong.
Well, we can go back to the golf tournament. So on every hole, I had a dyslexic trait.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know how many people, I don't know if it came up to you, but I had
Yeah.
so many people came up to me. You know, we had 150 golfers there. I had over 100 people come up to me and say, I had no idea.
Exactly.
So you take anything else in the world, that will never happen that many times. Unless, you know, it's a 1 in a million or a 1 in a 10 million, you know, disease or something like that. That's when it'll happen. But not with the common rate that we have, the second most common thing.
No, and also I've had a couple times now that, you know, some of the stuff that we've been doing, someone will say your ailment, or like they don't they don't say disability or your condition. I've had some people be like, your condition. I'm like, what condition? What condition do I have?
Do I have a conditioner in my hair? Did I leave it? Did I not wash it out?
Right. And they're not saying it rudely. They're like, oh, I don't know how to say it. Like, what do you say? I'm like, oh, my dyslexia? And they're like, oh, yeah. So how do you refer that? I'm like, it's a learning disability. Oh, I thought disability wasn't PC. I'm like, first of all, I don't give a fuck about that.
I actually want to say it myself. I want to say disability to get more attention. Because, you know, if there's a disability, you know, you say disability, you're going to get more of a chance of help out of that, you know, than a learning disorder. Right. So I do it purposely to try and stop people, if you know what I mean, my shock value.
Yeah.
For a reason, though.
No, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's not a condition. It's not, you know, it's very interesting. But again, they weren't saying it rudely. Right. They just didn't know how and what to say, or, oh, I have someone that used to have dyslexia. I'm like, no, they still have dyslexia.
Where'd that go?
You don't grow out of it. It's not like you had chickenpox. But again, and that's where it surprises you. You know, sometimes I still get taken back, like, oh my gosh, like it's still so interesting on how it is viewed and the non-knowledge, you know, again, with like ADD, right? ADHD, it's attention deficit. It's not a deficit. We have over attention. Like, and there's some doctor that does a lot of stuff on Instagram, and I absolutely love him because he breaks it down all the time. It's like, you actually have more attention and more attention to detail. It shouldn't be called attention deficit disorder because there's no deficit. It's like an overabundance. And so there's going to be some things that we're going to do kind of in the next number of months with the education part of giving you guys a little bit. We're still going to be bringing guests. We actually have a guest that's going to be coming on that I went to high school with, which is going to be very interesting.
The fireman?
Mm-hmm. Which is going to be very interesting.
Didn't you sleep with him? Isn't that his first sex?
I did not sleep with him. Oh my God. No, that's the other guy.
Oh, okay.
That's the other guy.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, because there are two. Great. Now that's out there. Sorry, everyone. Oh my God, that's hilarious. No, Lance is a very nice, not that he wouldn't have been invited. See, now you're going to get me getting blushy again, like that other episode.
What happens behind closed doors, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So that's going to be fun. But we have always stayed connection after high school, kind of like through social media. And when we started Word Blindness, I'm ignoring him if you guys didn't pick up on that. When we started Word Blindness, he reached out and was like, wait, I didn't realize you were dyslexic too. He's like, but I wasn't in the resource room until I was older. He was diagnosed earlier. So, you know, there's going to be some good conversations that we're still going to share with you guys. That's still going to stay in that format. Just different for Dyslexia Awareness Month. And stay tuned with that because we're going to, you know, we like to change things up.
No, you didn't prepare. That's all. I'm just calling. You didn't prepare for today, so you're just trying to throw it out there and to throw the listeners off. Don't buy it, listeners.
I did prepare today. Listen, side door.
Yes.
I wanted to go over and actually when we were talking before, I was like, ooh, I got a good idea. I had you wanted to talk about something else. And I said, I am not prepared to talk about that yet. That is too early. And we will talk about that.
There's more pieces to that puzzle, which is half the reason why you're punchy.
Yeah. All right. Listen. I think the last couple episodes that have gone out, the listeners are like, now they're talking in code.
Well, got to talk in code, you know, because you're trying to talk in code.
Well, because there's some things that we can't talk about right now live and
Let's
bring
talk
it up.
about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that maybe let's talk about.
I think you did that last episode. So that's going to go out twice.
Perfect.
So clearly,
I'm going to be a rock star in my next life.
yes.
That or
you're
my
gonna do
ex-wife.
great.
I don't know which one yet.
Well, stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that because clearly there's the Stanley Cup dinner, October 18th.
There's a lot going on in Juliet's life. The last 4 or 5 episodes, I think they've all heard that. I think we listened to it. So we're just going to continue. This is the Juliet therapy podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay. First of all, and this is you trying to keep the therapy off of you. So go fuck yourself.
Oh.
Yes, I said that because, yes, there's
Open your mouth.
there's a few stuff in the next like 6 months that you guys are gonna be like, October, okay, these pieces are coming together.
Too good, you'll never figure it out.
Yeah, now we can get listeners speculating and coming up with their own
death.
Yeah, that would be fun. Tell us what you think what we're talking about. Yeah. I'm just going to leave it at that and say, you know what I say every episode, like, rate, review, and share because you don't know who needs to laugh today. And take a stroll down Dyslexic Awareness Month from last year with word blindness. Thank you, Brent, for joining.
Thank you.
All right.